big member of parliament from another constituency. She demands that action is taken, and she gains the support not just of demand for punishment of the member of parliament who allegedly uttered those statements. Who is this person? He's being sent to the disciplinary committee for the third time over a fairly short period in parliament. But he recently won a court case over his suspension from the Parliamentary Commission. That is, well, Mitiana Member of Parliament, Zaake. Who was the person making accusations against him? Juliet Chinyamatama. And the drama that ensued in Parliament, you might have seen a lot of the reporting on that on the NBS News just ended. We will be discussing a little bit of that. What does it mean? We'll also discuss Uganda at 61, an independent nation at crossroads with itself. Where is it headed? How does the country move forward? How does it begin pursuing its actual independence? And of course, what appears to be the latest conflict in the Middle East involving Israel and Palestine. Palestine is a country that was only created in 1948 by a resolution of the United Nations after and handed over by the British, who had kept Palestine, what was known as Palestine, as a British mandate when the world was sharing out territories with itself. We'll discuss the tragedy that is happening in that part of the world. Lots of killings, both on the Israeli side and on the Palestinian side, and very divided opinion, very strong views on either side of that very difficult debate happening in this era, in this part of the world. Let me introduce, in that part of the world rather, let me introduce the panel that I have this evening. Starting from the extreme end, I have the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, the Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi. Doctor, you've been missing in action for some time. Good to have you back on the front line.
Thank you very much, Charles, and good evening, viewers. Good evening, my fellow panelists. I am back.
Very nice to have you back.
Thank you.
I also saw you debating in Parliament.
Yes.
I have from the
Debating
Uganda Media Center,
not this
Executive Director and a frontliner, Ofono Opondo. Very nice to have you, sir.
Thank you, Charles. Good evening to our viewers, but I thought you have misrepresented the minister. He hasn't been missing in action because he has been in action elsewhere, and the world was seeing him and Ugandans were seeing him defending and working for Uganda.
He went on the front line.
Yeah, he should have been.
I did mention the front line. I think you weren't listening very well.
No, you didn't mention front line.
I did.
He was already thinking of what to respond.
Yes, I did mention the front line.
You want clarity?
Yeah, I want clarity.
Yes, someone I haven't hosted on the front line, I'm hosting for the first time. Imam Kasozi. I used to interview Imam Kasozi very many times before. He says he had retired and he wants to have his peace. But Imam Kasozi, very nice to have you back.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers and the followers of the front line. And good evening,
from
the honorable members here.
From the mountains of the moon, from the Alliance for National Transformation, former leader of opposition and the frontliner, the Honorable Winnie Kiza. Very nice to have you.
Thank you, Charles, and good evening, viewers.
And from Kira Municipality, from the Forum for Democratic Change, the Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda, also frontliner. Very nice to have you, sir.
Thank you, Charles.
Let's start a little bit with the members of parliament who were in the House today to tell us exactly what the drama that we saw was about and whether, in your view, it's been handled well so far. Let me start with Dr. Chris Baryomunsi. What was this about? What was this drama about?
Well, it is regrettable. And some of us who have been in that house, at times you even regret why you stood again to be in the parliament. Because at times we have reduced ourselves to a comedy show, if I can say. Today what happened is that we entered parliament as usual and started off with the prayers, communication from the chair. And we were expecting a statement from the Minister of Internal Affairs. You recall the other day the opposition walked out because they wanted the government to explain why the Honorable Chaguranyi, the president of NUP, was transported by police from the airport to his home, and also the confrontation that was there at the NUP headquarters between police and the...
NUP says that wasn't that wasn't transportation. He was arrested at the airport, bundled into a vehicle, and driven to his home.
English has a variety of words. You can use whichever word, but he was... because he had been mobilizing, I think, his supporters to come in big numbers and raise 1 million people to march with him. And the duty of police is to keep law and order. I think in trying to forestall the chaos that could arise if the 1 million people came, police, I think, disrupted that by taking him from the airport and taking him to home. So the minister was ready.
Sorry for the disruption. It's not
yes.
the first time that somebody has come back into the country and mobilized supporters to accompany them from the airport. We saw that.
You asked me to explain what happened in the parliament.
Yes,
so,
yes. You raised this, so I need to clarify it before I can go
Yes, he came out of the plane. The police put him in their prepared vehicle, transported him to his home in Magere. Is there any factual
No, my question
alteration?
was, he's not the first person to return and have supporters waiting or fans waiting for him.
Yes, but this is what happened, the other I'm
Yes.
telling you. And the minister was expected to make a presentation in
On
parliament
that.
to explain it to members of parliament and the public.
Let's go back to the what you call
Yeah,
the embarrassment of the comedy of parliament.
Then now, when the speaker gave his communication, there was a reaction to his communication from the members, like it usually happens. Members react. Now he allowed the members to react. Now the Honorable Chinyamata Masubi, the woman member of parliament for Rakai, raised the matter of concern that our colleague in the parliament, the Honorable Zaake, who represents Mitiana municipality, had visited her constituency, and in his remarks, he attacked the members of parliament, including Honorable Chinyamatama, using words which herself could not repeat on the floor of parliament, and therefore requested the speaker to play that video for members of parliament to see how a colleague can go and insult and abuse a fellow colleague. And then there was a lot of fracas. People saying, no, don't play it, play the video. The speaker suspended the house for a few minutes. We retreated.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah, I even took more than 10 minutes. We retreated. Honorable Semuju and I and others. The speaker invited us to these chambers to discuss and see how to get out of this. And that's why I was saying, at times we reduce parliament to drama because the public expects us to be discussing serious issues, but it happened. Now we did agree in the room that let the video be played, because the speaker had actually initially ruled that the matter be sent to the Committee on Rules to have the issue investigated, but the parliament demanded that the video be shown, and then the speaker yielded. And that's what caused it. So others were saying, especially the opposition, don't play it. Others were saying, no, you play it. If the person who uttered the words could utter them in the public, what is parliament shielding? So there was that disagreement. So now, after the consultation, in the consultation where there was opposition and us in the ruling party, we agreed that let the video be played. In the case, the leader of opposition said, but that recording is already on public media. So we said, okay, let it be played, but we don't allow a debate, and the matter be sent to the committee for investigation, the Committee on Rules and Privileges, which investigates the discipline and the conduct of members of parliament. So we came back in the House. The speaker said, let the video be played. 2-minute video recording, it was played. Where, of course, the Honorable Zaake was attacking the members of parliament, and then the speaker referred the matter to the committee
on rules.
So, and then the speaker called for the next item, which was now the statement from the minister. Then as the minister was making a statement, I think the Honorable Chinyamata was not satisfied, and some women members of parliament We see now, as the minister is presenting, we hear now noise in the corridors, and some women members of parliament retreated and wanted to come from the side of the opposition, making a lot of noise, insisting Zaake must get out of parliament. So I think when there was that fracas, that's when the speaker adjourned the house to next week.
Okay.
So graphically, that's what happened, which is, in my view, regrettable, because the public expects us to be discussing issues which affect them, not really to engage in some of these issues which should take less of our time as members of parliament.
Honorable Semuju,
so that's why I said at times parliament turns into comedy, which some of us are not comfortable with.
Don't you think it may be taken?
Honorable Semuju, what's your own recollection of the events this afternoon in parliament?
Honorable,
is saying, what, am I not risking being taken to...
describing parliament sometimes as a comedy. What your members, colleagues who are watching now,
No. I have no regrets. The people of Chinchills East voted me to be in that parliament to do particular things. That's why when you said I saw you debating, I don't usually talk anyhow for the sake of the camera. When I rise to speak in the parliament, I speak when I am raising a matter which is important, not this procedure, what for the camera. So me, as a senior member of parliament who has been there, I am concerned. I was not happy with the afternoon which we spent when there was nothing productive.
Let's hear from Honorable
So whether I'm taking the committee,
Ibrahim,
I will go and explain myself.
You're one of those people who protested against the playing of the video. You're the one who protested against the sending of the Honorable Francis Zaake to the Committee on Rules.
You see, the member who raised the matter said she could not utter the words that had been used against her. But she demanded that those words are broadcast in Parliament. My issue with the Speaker was that if the words as described, despicable, cannot be uttered, then why do you broadcast them in Parliament? Why? What is the motivation? You've said they cannot be uttered, and you want them broadcast. But I also said the issues between members of Parliament that have not happened in Parliament are issues that need to be administratively handled. Even those that have happened in Parliament, and they are going to embarrass Parliament by continuing, by dragging them on. And I gave my own example when I had issues with the late Speaker, the Honorable Jacob Oranya, Honorable Chris Wariomunsia, and Honorable Dombo, who were commissioners. And they were very good commissioners, by the way. They went to meet the Honorable Oranya and told him to have those matters sorted so that Parliament can continue transacting its business.
And sorted outside Parliament.
I have said that, yes, I have said that today, that matter of Honorable Chinyamatama being abused using which words is a matter that must not attract a debate of Parliament. It's a matter that, and there is a history. Even when we retweeted, I remember the Honorable Ben Wacha and Honorable Otafire in the 6th Parliament had an altercation. I don't know whether Otafire had boxed or had threatened to box Ben Wacha. What the late Speaker of Parliament, James Wapakabulo, did was to invite these two MPs at Naire Hotel, now renamed Serena, for them to have an evening together and have problems that had made them go that far resolved there. And there are numerous examples of how Parliament has dealt. I think sometimes Parliament degenerates. First of all, what I don't believe in as a person, it is something that started under Kadag, that Namuganza has abused me at a local radio station, and then an investigation must be carried out.
By Parliament?
By Parliament.
So the matter comes to Parliament?
Yes.
Even
this time when we had issues again with Namuganza, that I don't know what she had done to the Honorable Speaker, Anita Among. I said, for me, I don't believe that these matters should end up here. So the speakers have a duty to provide leadership. If you have a quarrel between two MPs, that quarrel cannot become content of Parliament. It must become part of your administrative itinerary as a speaker. Get the two MPs who are quarreling. But also for me, how can I even go to Parliament to report that they have abused me? And she was wailed. The whole afternoon running as if she, I'm trying now to find words that are, because if I have been abused, one other thing that I found...
What explains the behavior in Parliament? We see members of the opposition especially rallying in support of Zaake. We see women members of Parliament, especially from the ruling party, rallying in support of Chinyamatama.
For me, with Zaake, first, my argument was that this matter should be handled administratively. But I said if you want to stretch it, because this one is suffering from pain of abuse, there are people who have been physically harmed inside the Parliament. I said that General Katumba Wamala boxed here, Zaake. I was in the van. I was the first person to be arrested when he had debating the Majesty bill. Zaake was brought when he was in coma, boxed inside the Parliament.
In coma because of a punch from
Yes.
General Katumba Wamala.
That matter was never investigated by Parliament. It ended there.
No,
The General
he was not in a
Tumwine-
coma. He walked out of Parliament. I was there
You
in the
don't know, I
house.
was in the car.
I know what coma means as a doctor.
Yeah, you know what coma means, but
Yes.
you,
Did
if
he
you-
collapse
if
in
you
Parliament?
did not witness it,
No, I
you
was
cannot
there. I
say-
was in the house.
Maybe you are superstitious that
I
you
was
can see
there.
people in coma even when you are not
No,
there.
no, he wasn't.
Zaake was brought in the car. I was the first person to be arrested. We actually protested because we wanted him to go and treat it. He was unconscious.
No, that's not true.
Okay, that's not true.
That's not true. I was in the house,
From
sir.
Chris Variomunsi. So when they took him to Rubaga Hospital, it was for an evening drink. But the point
He was not
for
in a
me,
coma.
Charles,
General Katumba never punched him to coma. No.
for me,
That's not
Charles,
true.
the point
He was just
was
trying
that
to say it was sorted amicably.
the point is we had the
Nobody raised it on the floor.
Honorable
It
Jacob
have been
Oranya at
investigated.
one time
You wanted it right.
complaining that he had been insulted and I think boxed by Eddie Tumwine, both of them dead. There was also an administrative way of dealing with those matters. Me, I think MPs can abuse each other. I find no problem Zaake going to my constituency or Chris Variomus to abuse me. Those matters, if you
You
are,
also go to his constituents and abuse him
if
from
you
there.
are in,
Okay.
but also for an MP to say, in my constituency, is that constituency your father's land? That nobody should come because you elected an MP, so nobody should come to Chira to speak about me, to abuse me. For me, you can come 100 times. Your duty as an MP is to rally your constituency behind you, but not to say that this constituency is ring fenced. The time I am an MP, nobody should come here to abuse
So
me.
you're
But our
suggesting
rules
that
provide for decorum.
Decorum in
and
Parliament.
decency, and decency even
In
outside.
Parliament, yes.
Even outside.
So therefore, my demand, and the reason I did so was to persuade the Speaker. And by the way, the Speaker had been persuaded by my argument, and that's why he had referred this matter to the committee. But the NRM women MPs became anirure. They came and banged the door on our side that they had come themselves to physically evict Zaake.
Eject Zaake.
Yeah, that's why I opened and said, let them enter. Today we will show them, if that's what they want in Parliament.
What are you going to show them?
Do I have to say it on
You
air?
need,
I have said, if they physically, so you mean we will stay there, they come and beat us. Because it was a raid. And I said, I don't know, you pay for them, let them come.
You're inviting them for...
If they no longer want a debate and they want a physical fight, then let it be. So the MPs have a duty. Go and quarrel, go and abuse each other. But you can't bring those quarrels, whether from radio, whether from where, to Parliament. And because the budget of Parliament this year is 900 something billion, which on average means we spend 2 billion shilling on Parliament every day. And then
and you're spending it on drama like this.
On someone,
Honorable
on
Winnie
someone
Kiza,
complaining that I have been
sat in-
abused.
You sat in that parliament, you're there in the drum of 2017, and a woman member of parliament stands up and says she was insulted in words that she couldn't utter out of her own mouth. But she has the rally of colleague women members of parliament, but also an equally strong reaction from predominantly male members of parliament, especially from the opposition. How do you describe, I mean, what does this mean for parliament and its decorum and what it's supposed to be doing?
Well, like colleagues have said, it's very unfortunate that precious time of Parliament is spent on things that may not necessarily be for the good of the public, but sorting individual issues. Secondly, it's also not really very healthy that you go to a colleague's constituency and you start attacking them. But this is not the first time it is happening. By the way, I'm telling you, there are members of Parliament who reach colleagues' constituencies and tend to speak about the leaders of the constituencies as if they don't exist even in Parliament. Members will reach there and will tell you, this member of yours, when we are debating serious issues, we debate them in caucuses, and they don't get there. So next time, don't vote for them. They are just a waste of time. They speak a lot of nonsense against members of Parliament, and it has not happened for the first time. It's unfortunate I didn't hear the language that Zaake used against the colleague. It would be unfortunate if he used so vulgar and words that are abusive. However, when it comes to Parliament, if the Speaker had failed to do the administration that the colleagues are talking about, then the only way he would have adjudicated in this matter was to send it to the Committee of Rules that deals with the discipline of Parliament. And I think he was in order to do that. My sister should have just waited for what would come out of the Committee of Rules and Discipline, because that is what the Speaker should have done anyway.
Yes, ideally,
that is the procedure in Parliament.
Ideally, Honorable Winnie Kiza, if someone came to your constituency and used words that were insulting, demeaning, the expectation would be that your constituents, if you say,
yes,
if you have come to my constituency, yes, your constituents will deal with that.
That is if you
right
are in, that is if you are in charge. Because for me, when I was in Kasese, nobody would dare to go to the people in Kasese and say he's abusing me and insulting me before the people. They would just chase them away. So if my sister is really in charge of her constituency, then I expected that her people would be in defense of their member of Parliament. You can't just go to an elected member's constituency and you start using those big words.
But the constituents may also be decent. They don't want to have.
Well, if the constituents yes, are decent, yes, and they just ignore you, they let it pass, then the best that an MP would have done is to go to the Speaker and say, Mr. Speaker, there is this issue, which I think we should handle. Because for me, by the time I left Parliament, we had in principle agreed that when you go to a colleague's constituency, please be fair, and be civil to them. Yeah, be civil to the members.
That's the standing principle.
Just be fair to the members.
Wouldn't the expectation also be, just to comment, Honorable Bariomo, that if the constituents have taken a lead in being civil about the matter, being casual about it,
yeah,
they expect their leader to pick from them. But
you know, that is why I'm saying that if the leader thinks should be carried forward, maybe for corrective purposes, so that no other member of Parliament, whether from the opposition or from government, suffers the same, the best they would have done is to go to the Speaker and say, Mr. Speaker, I think this is unfair, this was unkind of a colleague to go to my constituency and do certain injustice to me. Then the Speaker administratively would have called the members and sort this out of the public domain.
The reaction in the Parliament was because of the notoriety of Honorable Zaake.
So my sisters, while they were doing a duty of protecting a fellow woman, but I think they slightly went overboard. They should have waited for the matter in the Committee of Legal.
You've been in media practice for a long time. I am just wondering about the wisdom of saying the words used against you were defamatory, and then asking that they be broadcast in Parliament, which also broadcasts live.
No, it is possible by upbringing that I may not use the four-letter word. But other colleagues in Parliament or in a meeting can use them without restraint. More so, if it has been recorded and this era of social media, it is already going on in social media. You may want the colleagues in Parliament to listen for themselves, but you yourself, you may be unable to utter it. So for me, I find no problem with Kinyamatama saying, I can't utter it myself, but let the colleagues listen to. However, I have a problem with the Zaake in the country today, where members of parliament, for some time now, they have tried to lift themselves and put themselves so much above that they don't want criticism of their character. I find that strange in a democracy. I don't see how somebody says, you members of opposition, you can criticize the president, lambast him, insult him. My young brother Semuju, you know what he says about the president?
I don't insult.
And his family and so on.
You don't what do what?
So
I'm speaking about his family.
if you say a constituency, in short, we are saying President Museveni should not be criticized at all. Or we want to define how people should criticize the president. So what's the constituency? A constituency should be a place for your opponents to go and criticize you, including by the ruling you have been citing here of the Supreme Court, to tell lies about you. Now, you should have a mouth to respond. If you think they have defamed you, then you sue them in court. Don't bring it in, don't bring it in Parliament to waste our time and our money in Parliament. So I think if there's such a rule that members of Parliament cannot be criticizing their constituencies or can't be insulted, I think we need to go back to Parliament and change those rules so that insults or unbecoming behavior should only be the ones within the precincts of Parliament. Because there we want to control decorum in a debate so that matters are expeditiously handled. But that somebody has gone to my constituency and I said, I am only a drunkard. I don't pay attention to debate in Parliament. Or in this particular case where somebody says, your member of Parliament being a woman only comes to sleep with other male members of Parliament. They don't pay attention to the debate in Parliament. And I want to bring that one to waste time of Parliament. No, I sue you if I know that I don't sleep around. In Parliament, I do my job. I sue you in court. That should be. Or I can also go to your constituency and say things that you would not like in your constituency. But this idea that a member of Parliament cannot be criticized in their constituency, I certainly think it is untenable in a democracy, in a vibrant democracy that we are trying to build. And so I think the Speaker had done the right thing initially to say, let this matter be handled administratively in the committee. And that's where my young sister Juliet should have gone to make her presentation and then wait, not raiding the chambers of Parliament, mobilizing her other colleagues. Obviously, nobody should support, we shouldn't support overrunning women because they're women. That's, of course, still a dominant culture in Uganda that we, the men, would want to say anything about women.
And they should keep quiet about it.
And they should keep quiet. I think that's something even for NUP itself to take Honorable Zaake on.
Okay.
Because is that what NUP wants the public to go by, that their members of Parliament can go and insult members of women, let alone members of Parliament, women members of Parliament, any woman.
Women.
Is that what NUP would want the public to see? Okay. That their members of Parliament can go around insulting, defaming women, just like casual like that?
I want you to come into
Obviously
this
not.
discussion. Imam Kasozi, many people have been pointing to, Dr. Bari almost just used the word, the notoriety of the Honorable Francis Zaake. So this is not the first time. He's being sent to the Rules Committee for the third time.
He has been punched in the Parliament.
Yes, Honorable Semuju said he has been punched in Parliament. And I believe you saw the drama that ensued in Parliament today, and the rallying from especially the women. Nyamatama felt insulted and said, this matter is being handled lightly.
Yeah, thank you very much. Having listened to my colleagues here, and also having seen the drama, as you call it, in Parliament, and many other issues that have occurred in Parliament, to me, it takes me back to my thinking, who really should be a member of Parliament? because when we are electing members of parliament in this country, of recent we are not serious. We are not, absolutely not. And we have had a bad example, young men and women walking out of classroom and going to parliament. They have never tested any what? Somebody presiding over them when they are on duty. Now they join a place where you have a lot of freedom.
And a lot of power.
Yeah, yes, a lot of power. And sometimes they misread this to think that that is how life should be. I think I have not heard what Zaake said, but I saw Honorable Chinyamatama speaking, and I saw how people rose up and how it ended. When he calls it drama, it is indeed a drama. But the biggest challenge is, I think now the average age of parliament may be about 30-something. And these are young people. Zaake is one of them. Juliet is another. Everybody thinks that I must now show what I am. That tendency of saying, what would be the reaction? Somebody said, you can't say it, you want somebody to say it on your behalf, maybe, because when they play the video, because they say it is on social media. Fortunately, I am on many, many platforms. I have not seen it. And if it is really vulgar, I don't wish to. But sometimes there's a platform where I am with very young men. They are young because my hobbies, and the majority of our time, those older than us, many of them are on this platform. They rarely say anything. They don't say. But the young men on the platform, my friend, sometimes you say, where are we heading to? Okay. Recently they brought, I think he's an ambassador. Ambassador was brought in. The very day he was brought in, what was said, he asked himself, is this what has brought me here? Or I had come here to promote my school. So I think, first of all, let us be hard-handed on discipline. We should be. All of us, we as parents, institutions we go through, and also where we work from. Because I don't think fighting for it without considering it critically helps. What it creates, it leads to another group also saying, another time if we get A, B, C, we should do this. And then I think that's where these become relevant by saying, should we spend taxpayers' money? I don't want to say government money, my money, because I pay tax. Should we spend it on no business when we have bigger issues to handle? Actually, when I saw that one, I was thinking now, that's because he insinuated that we are going to talk about 60 years of independence. Now, should people have spent 60 years in independence, have a parliament where people are like kids in a primary school? Because sometimes kids in the secondary school may not act like that. But for the primary ones, or, you know, when all of us were young at a given time, if you quarreled with some of your neighbors, young ones like you, and they pass by your home to eat, you may even utter big words. You ate food in our place and you are abusing me. However, I would think, I don't know whether I think Zaake qualifies by his age, he qualifies to be my son. Yes, if I call him my son, because his age, he's slightly older than my old son. Just I think 1 year or two. according to the age I had. I think 1 year. So that means we need, he needs also to be helped. Okay, Honorable Semju was saying he was boxed. Maybe the boxing may have injured him. He may need some other checkup, probably. But he needs to be helped that, you know, he has done his part. For example, having gone through the battle of being a commissioner, going to court awarding him the opportunity, it should have now told him that he should be respectful of himself. Let me start with that one. Because you see, when you don't respect yourself, it is very hard to respect other people.
Thank you.
So that is my imagination. However, I think also the management, is it? The administrators of Parliament, they also need to put their bar up a bit. When you see, you are giving examples of people here. The way, while Honorable, the late Honorable James Wakpablo was probably able to call Otafire and then Wacha. Otafire at that time, he was still young, fresh from a few years from the bush. Okay, he would probably have acted otherwise, but he respected that.
Has the era possibly changed, that the thinking then was different from what happens today? There was no social media and WhatsApp and other things then. Did that influence? But someone is criticizing us here. Deus, let me just confirm. Deus Kavona is watching us and is criticizing and says we should criticize ourselves for bringing what we say is a petty issue. Yes, we should castigate ourselves for discussing a petty issue about honorable members of Parliament. And
discussing Parliament.
yes, and
Not the petty issue.
The problem is,
he says it's of no consequence given the outstanding balance sheet in socio-economic blizzards facing the populace today.
He's also missing the point. Because we are talking about it because it has been brought to the August House, which house we think should be doing a big work. And I was thinking, we are not talking to the Zaake and we are talking to the Parliament.
Okay.
That when such issues emerge again, they should not come to the floor of Parliament.
Okay. This is Morungi Francis is watching us and he says, Honorable Zake's act was very unethical. I wish the disciplinary committee takes a serious action this time around. He can't continue diverting the programs of Parliament, yet there are important issues to discuss. Kudos to the women members of Parliament for raising their voices. And Francis is watching us from Makerere University. Thank you, Francis, for the comment. We'll pick a few and then continue. We'll move the discussion now to Uganda at 61 and whether.
I think what appeared strange to me was that when the Honorable Chinyamatama raised the concern, now our friends in opposition like rose in the defense of Zaake, as if it was an opposition issue. Yet,
but I thought that walked out of Parliament.
Yet each member should be responsible for his own conduct. In this case, we're looking at the discipline of an individual member, but it's somehow standing to opposition NRM, which was not uncalled for. And that's why there was that prolonged kind of fracas.
Okay, there's a question here for Honorable Semuju.
The speaker had ruled that you play the video and then the committee, it would have taken a few minutes. But the Semujus, the Honorable Semujus were up in arms. No, don't play it.
I thought that walked out.
Honorable Semuju, there's a question for you here, which will also help us in our transition. From Kasita Ian, who is watching us from Rakai District. He says, if the matter was supposed to be handled outside Parliament, why did Honorable Semuju and colleagues move out of Parliament on Tuesday, claiming that the Speaker of Parliament must comment on the Bobby Wine scandal, which actually happened outside Parliament too? Is it more important to be discussed in Parliament than the Honorable Zaake abusing Honorable Chinyamatama in her constituency?
Let me start and handle them together with what Chris is saying. We left Parliament 2 days ago complaining about violation of human rights. We had, in a civil manner, engaged the Speaker and agreed that when, we return and have that matter handled. The matter of raiding political party headquarters mistreating political leaders is a very serious matter. If you read the late Pecos Kutesa's book, his decision to go to Ruwel was because Mr. Museveni had been humiliated at Red Boroka in Kireka as a leader.
Are you saying abusing women is a less serious issue?
I thought you
That
made
was the issue in the
I
House.
thought you made your point. So my argument is we deal with the first issue first. To us, the violation of human rights was a more urgent and much more serious issue to deal with than people going to constituencies and insulting each other. And that remains my position, whether it is shared by my colleagues or not. And that's why I want to answer this one as well. Matters of human rights, matters of raiding political parties in a multi-party democracy, matters of beating by police, by the military. You've been broadcasting these footages here of military beating people, and we are not the only ones who are victims. Journalists themselves have been beaten. I have spoken many things about Chris in the past. He may not want me to repeat.
You are the matters of demeaning women.
When
They
he
are
was
equally important.
I have said, my demand was